Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I'm Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, tonight we've got to talk about the situation up in New York, and you know what I'm talking about. I just have to be kind of cryptic at what I'm saying. Now, all the details are finally coming in. This individual has been arrested for the crimes that he perpetrated. This is really important because I want to show you how everything, all the gun control measures possible, did not work in this case, including federal. This is more evidence that gun control will not work. Now, it's important to note that while we know that gun control is kind of a fool's errand, I'm also going to show you what the Politico is framing this as, because it's a very, very charged title of this article, which lays down what happened. Check this out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below. I'll have it linked for you in the description box. But let's dive in, because we've got to talk about this, because this is obviously something important for us to be aware of. Suspected subway shooter purchased gun legally despite long criminal record. Now right there, that implies that the gun control, or excuse me, the background check systems were not working, right? If he's a long-term criminal record, how could he buy a gun if we had a background check? Because the background check system went through perfectly normally 11 years ago, which is an interesting point in fact, because the time to crime, I believe, is I think it's like 6 to 7 years typically on a firearm, according to the ATF. Well, this was 11. So this was astronomically longer on the scale of time to crime, but that's a side point. But it is an interesting point. So this came out today. I'll walk you through this report. Then I'm going to show you how many times this violated gun control, because it's not going to work. All right, check this out. New York, piece of crap, who was arrested for opening fire in a subway car Tuesday morning, used a legal handgun in the attack that injured 23 people, authorities said Wednesday. Despite his lengthy criminal record, said piece of crap, was able to buy the firearm because he'd never been convicted of a felony. Well, that's pretty much accurate. If you are not a felon, you do not have anything on your background check that's going to prevent you from having a Second Amendment right. That's dead on. But the way that they're framing this is they're trying to frame it from the perspective of background checks are failing. So a legal gun purchase was given to a criminal. Well, listen to what he did. This is really important because the way they're trying to frame this is they're trying to go after the background check system now, saying that doesn't work, so we need more gun control. That's where they're going. After detonating smoke canisters in situation with 9mm Glock handgun, he bought in Ohio 11 years ago from a licensed dealer. So this wasn't a street gun. This was bought from a licensed FFL in Ohio. By the way, crossing into New York when you have a handgun, it's a no bueno. Also an extended magazine, no bueno. That's two. NYPD Chief of Detective James Essex said at the press conference the Glock was uncovered at the crime scene. So right there, you're looking at a lot of things where you're seeing the system that is imposed by New York fail. The gun came into New York City. It was on the New York subway. It is a gun control zone, a gun-free zone. It had an extended magazine. All of those things can't be done in a gun control zone, but it's not working. Not to mention the fact Mayor Adams just recently reinstated the anti-gun unit in New York City. You can throw everything you want at this, but you can't legislate morality. Criminals are going to criminal. And we're going to say it till we're blue in the face, but that's the fact. Let's keep going. Look what this guy actually did when they say long, lengthy criminal record, which is not a lie, but listen to what they were. His lengthy arrest record includes 9 charges in New York from 1992 through 1998, including a criminal sex act and possession of burglary tools, not felonies. He also was arrested in New Jersey 3 times from 91 to 2007, so he clearly moved. So between 2007 and 11, nothing happened on his record, and he bought the gun in 2011 in Ohio. But he was never found guilty of more serious crimes, which lines up with the fact that he had no felony on his record, which would have prevented him from having a gun. Again, you cannot legislate morality. Criminal is going to criminal. This is just the prosecutor. Quote, you can't have a felony conviction and purchase a gun. So he had no felony convictions, as explained. That's pretty straightforward. But now let's walk down what's happened in New York City. Ultimate gun control. You have a gun that goes into the subway, goes across borders into the subway. This wasn't an iron pipeline. This was someone who carried a gun into New York. Then you had an extended magazine, also against the law. You don't have a concealed carry permit in New York, so that's a problem. You also have fireworks and all sorts of what would be considered minor explosives in the bag that you're carrying. Also no good. Then you commit a crime, and the entire time you've got politicians in New York who want less officers on the New York subways. They want less officers across the board. I'm going to show you the whole thing tomorrow. But the whole point here is every single way that gun control lined up to stop this from happening, it didn't happen. That's the whole point. And for Politico to come out and say, well, he had a lengthy criminal record, but yet he could still buy the gun legally. They're trying to frame the background check system as a negative and not working. Even universal background checks would not have worked on this one. Biden, his whole get rid of extended magazines, wouldn't have worked on this one. All of these things are failures on policy because you cannot legislate this. All you've left with is the New York City citizens being victims in their own city because they don't have a way to defend themselves. And the biggest irony of all, when you have someone who's doing something evil with a gun, the answer is to call a police officer who brings a gun. What is the problem here? It's the simplest understanding of you meet force of evil with force of good, and hopefully good wins. The idea that you can have a situation where you can't get rid of a criminal in the act with a firearm without having someone else with a firearm, whether it be a cop or an individual, it's pointless. It's not possible. They have all the power until you equally match them in power and hopefully get rid of that threat. That's what I've got for you. That's really the only thing I want to touch on this story because this story is kind of a weird one. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you tonight or tomorrow morning at the bullet points. I'm Braden. See you later.